Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
Ohio approved and licensed for disposal. At Ron Evans Enterprises, they specialize in sewage system installation and repair. Ron Evans has a full line of flex pipe, culverts, concrete and plastic septic tanks, sewer fittings, waterline rolls for the Home American water heaters, along with toilets, standard and ADA. It's all at Ron Evans Enterprise LLC. Give them a call today at 1-800-537-9528 or 740-286-5930.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning show where I'm here again with my squeaky voice, and I'm hoping that my guest can help carry me today. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Other than the obvious.
I'm well, minus the head cold thing. But anyway, the doctor says it swears I'm not contagious, so here we go.
And I hope your doctor's accurate.
Yes, yes. So anyway, we have a special guest here on the program. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. So Jason Mantell, Superintendent at Oak Hill Union Local, met with you a little over a year ago.
Yes.
But it's been quite a while.
Yeah, and I can't believe it's been that long. Time flies. And you have such an interesting story there in Oak Hill because you were brought in kind of as an interim superintendent and then got the full-on job. So congratulations to that.
Thank you.
And you've now been there, what, 2 years?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how's it been?
So far, so good. Very positive. I mean, obviously, like everybody else, we have challenges here and there, but in general, very supportive community and school district.
I think I've always just really enjoyed Oak Hill. I think it's just such a fun, tight-knit, caring community. And I know that, so many people down there do such good and lots and lots of talented kids. And even though it's so small, it's just like all of this talent just oozes out of our local communities. So I think that's really, really neat. So, if people didn't catch you the first time or second time you were here, could you kind of give everybody a little bit of info about your background?
Sure. So actually, I did work in Jackson County for a while. I worked at Wellston as a teacher and a coach for 5 years.
Yeah, I think you worked with Josh, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, he
Yeah,
and I worked together. He and I worked together for 5 years.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and actually, my brother, that's where my brother works now. He's a teacher
Mm,
and a coach there as well. So he's been there. He and I went there the same year, and he's been there ever since. But no, so this is 24 as a professional, 22 in public
wow.
education. Yeah, so it's been very positive. But I've worked with students and families for all of my 24 years. I did a little county government work for 2
Mm-hmm.
years
Yeah.
between my previous position and the superintendent's position. So that's what I've been doing. And 3 kids and been married for pushing 20 years. My wife's a Jackson County. She was born and raised in Wellston. So
Very
connections to the county. And I really, really have enjoyed being at Oak Hill.
well, very good. And I was sitting here thinking, as a teacher, how do you transition from being on that side of education to, the superintendent's role? It has to be quite a bit of difference.
It is. I worked at an educational service center for a couple of years, and I taught for 12. And then I really just worked through. Was an athletic director and assistant principal, then a building principal, then assistant superintendent. Then I took an executive director role in county government, and then came back and became a
Paid his
superintendent.
dues.
That's yeah, I think that's
All
a
the steps that
reasonable
it
way to
took.
put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it's just I think when you look through your career, what I've always tried to do is, how do you have the biggest impact on the most people? And I think now at this stage of my life, I just turned 45, and it's funny. I mean, you look now and it's like, wow, it's not too long until I'm eligible to retire, and really that puts things more in perspective. And that, okay, I want to continue to help as many people as possible. And I think it's about finding and developing the best team.
Hmm.
I inherited a great team at Oak Hill, but then last year due to retirements, I had the opportunity to interview and continue to build. And so I'm going to do as much as I can within the group that we have. To provide opportunities for our students and our staff, and of course our community when we can do that. So really, to me, that's what it's about. I mean, I
Sure.
think people talk about leadership roles. I think every role in its own way is a leadership role. I think people, you're the boss. I don't like. I've never enjoyed that term. Some of the people who I've worked with will jokingly still refer to me as boss, and they do it because it does
It
make
bugs you.
it makes me uncomfortable because I think there's this. I think people have a certain view of a boss, and I don't know. Maybe that's just generational. But to me, to me, it's hey, we work together. We're
Yeah.
colleagues. We have different roles. We have different responsibilities, but ultimately, we're here to serve the same purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get where you're going with that. So I was sitting here thinking, this is not, I'm just asking your opinion on this. And then I want to get to all the cool things that are going, on down in Oak Hill and some of the accomplishments that the kids have had and all of that.
Yeah.
But, education as a whole, I think, has been tough, especially since the pandemic and
Mhm.
all of that. And you mentioned, retirement. And I
Mhm.
know I'm not saying Oak Hill, I'm saying as a whole. I think that educators are starting to retire
Mhm.
or whatever, and it's harder to find replacements or, whatever. So how do you combat that?
Well, I think there are going to be people who are going to look at other opportunities, and I think that's inevitable. Over my career, even pre-pandemic, you have people like that are unsure. Do I want to do this for 30 years or 35 years? So to me, I think it's having open conversations.
Okay.
So I think the people you have now, as far as retention, do anything that you can to show appreciation
Hmm.
that you do. Now, again, you do as much as you can daily. I think our principals do an outstanding job of providing opportunities for professional development. We try to push that professional development opportunities, whether that's an extra teacher work day, whether that's teachers going to a conference outside of the regular school day
Sure.
for a day or two. I think those kind of things are important. I think showing a meal. Hey, don't worry about lunch today, and our principals do an outstanding job with that. Teacher appreciation things. But I think also those are all fine. You can spend money on things, you can send people on trips, but I think bigger than that, I think it's knowing that your staff needs to know that they're supported,
That they
that,
care,
that
that you care.
and
Yeah.
that people care. And I think I think it's really important in a place like Oak Hill. In general, our parents are very supportive as well, and that's huge
Yes.
because
Huge.
if there's not a mutual respect, then you're going to have issues. So I think one thing we've done, especially this year, is push family engagement activities like literacy nights and math nights, and
Okay.
I think that's one thing. And again, I credit our teachers and our other staff members and our principals for putting those together and encouraging um, staff members, parents, and students to work collaboratively. And
That's
I think
awesome.
that's a really big thing. So I think that's a piece of it. But as far as what we do, it's recruit, it's advertise, it's market. One thing we're working on, and we're going to start this over the summer into the next school year is, and we're still working and deciding how we're going to do this, but market the district. What can we provide? What can we do to best serve your student? And those are things that we're doing now, and we need to improve as well, because we're doing a lot of outstanding things, and that's one thing I don't think and that goes to me. I
Yeah.
think it's that's one of my responsibilities, is to make sure that we market our district and what we're doing the best we can. And I think obviously, I feel like pay is part of it.
Yep.
When we can provide, we try. One of our goals is to try to stay regionally in that upper half as far as pay for our staff members, and fortunately, we're able to do that. I mean, we have to.
That has to be tough. I mean, you all are within a strict budget.
We are, fortunately, I think, our district historically, for the most part, has been reasonably funded. It
Okay.
hasn't always been the case, but right now, we feel like, we're going to do the best that we can to make sure that our staff is compensated appropriately, regionally competitive, if not better. That's our goal.
Sure.
Now, again, you're right. We do have a strict budget. I mean, we're dealing with tax dollars, and that's also, we have to be responsible,
Yes.
fiscal stewards of tax dollars as well. So, it's a delicate balance, but I
Sure.
think people knowing they're supported and appreciated
I think you're right.
is the biggest key. And listen, teacher education programs are putting out about half the students they were 25 or 30 years ago, and
Yes.
we're all competing for the same groups. Everyone needs intervention specialists, everyone needs math teachers, everyone needs science teachers, and guess what? Our regional universities might be putting out one or two of those per year. Well, look at how many schools there are.
Right.
I mean, ELA, language arts, social studies, those are important. Physical education, art, those are important. But right now, fortunately, there are enough of those people with those backgrounds, but we're lacking in certain areas.
No one wants to do math. I
Ironically,
actually really enjoyed math, but
Yeah.
it was because I had fantastic teachers.
well, ironically, I have 3 siblings, and 2 of them are teachers, and one teaches math and one teaches science. I
Not
have,
so much.
I don't have a license to teach either.
Yeah.
So no, that was not my area of expertise.
Yes, I get it. And it's tough. And I know I always laugh when people are like, "Oh, I'm going to school to become a math teacher." And I'm like, "What's wrong?" Your first thought is, "What's wrong with you?"
Well, encourage them, please.
So
We
please
need
do
them.
so. But
We
you
need
think,
them.
"Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you're weird."
I
No, I'm
appreciate,
just
I
kidding.
appreciate them.
Yes, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. So, hey, if you're listening out there, maybe you're out on spring break and you're sitting there trying to think of a profession to pursue.
If you get a math or science license or I'm telling you right now, you will have no issue finding a job. You are
Now you know.
extremely marketable, and
Hey.
every district will want to interview you. I rarely do I speak for the masses, but I can tell you right now, meeting with all the superintendents regularly, if you are interested and capable at teaching math or science, or willing to work intervention, you will find a job very quickly.
Hey, we just found your career right now on the program.
Yes.
So
And I would recommend starting with Oak Hill, but that's just me.
there you
So,
go. All right. Well, let's get into some of the projects and fun things that you all have going on. I know the kids have traveled down to Florida,
Yeah.
and there's been all kind of different things. So I know you made some notes. So
Yeah.
again, I can't talk for squat, so I'll just let you go.
You may regret that, but no.
No, I will not.
So our music and art department doing wonderful things. Our band and choir traveled to Orlando. Our band was rated superior, and our choir received top choir. So outstanding.
Crazy.
Yeah, and as I was talking to the guys on the radio earlier, it's a great experience for our kids to get out of the region and see other things. But I think they will tell you it's way more work than it is vacation. But clearly it's worth it,
Yes.
because they came back with some hardware and some accolades, and we're really, really appreciative of all of the people, from our teachers to the volunteers who work with them, because there's a lot of time and effort that goes into that.
And I think a lot of that, I was sitting as I was driving in, I was listening to you talking about that. And did the kids go to Disney? Did they go to
They
Universal?
went to Universal.
Okay, so either way, I'm just going to tell you that every child in the world should get to go to Disney and should get to go to Universal, because they're truly magical places that don't exist anywhere else. I mean, they are unbelievably cool. Like Kings Island, yeah, but like those places are insane. But there's a lot of kids that don't have that opportunity, whether it just be, travel or obviously financially. And the fact that it's happening through the schools is so cool, that they get those opportunities that they probably may not have had otherwise. So that's a great testament to what you all are doing. And I know our local schools, our cheerleaders just went down to
Yeah.
Orlando, and, so many of the schools are doing these cool events and trips and giving these kids opportunities that they would never have had otherwise, probably.
Yeah, and I
So good.
that's a huge part of it. I mean, any of our kids, no matter what you're involved with, and really, I mean, the superintendent, I mean, I wish all of our kids would get involved, and I want our staff to encourage them to get whatever it is, whether it's our esports program, whether it's
Yeah.
our fishing team, whether it's one of our athletic teams, band, choir. But get involved in the art department. I mean, we have an art show. Some of our kids have been featured at Rio Grande in their art show. I mean, we have a lot of talented young people, and so do the other county
Oh,
schools
yeah.
and the other regional schools. And I think the biggest thing for us is push as hard as we can to find something that each student will embrace.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I think a lot of times. I think we forget. I mean, there are certain things that get pushed and marketed more than others historically.
Hmm.
But I think, what we're doing today, I really appreciate it because I get an opportunity to talk about everything,
100%.
all the things we're doing, or many of them. But I like our band, our music department, and they just put on Trek,
They're
and they're outstanding.
unbelievable.
Yeah, super talented group of kids. And those kids, there is some crossover there. Some of those kids are in the musical and also playing a sport, or also
Yes.
a National Honor Society. So there's a crossover in a small community, like you mentioned. I mean, it's a small village. It's tiny. I mean, we have 3 school districts. We're by far the smallest. But I agree. We do have some outstanding and talented kids. And so we're really happy, that we can get as many kids involved as we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was thinking to myself, what are the logistics of getting a choir and a band down to Orlando, Florida? I
You're
mean,
asking the wrong guy.
how does that happen? I mean, it's like herding cats. It has to be.
Hey, I approved it, and that was about the extent. I will take 0 credit for that.
So
So
who is responsible? You can't just
Yeah.
throw a bunch of kids on a plane or a bus and
no,
send
so
them to Florida.
so that's our band director and our choir director handle a lot of that, along with our middle school and high school principal work with that. We have parents who volunteer. We have staff members who are also involved, who are assistants or who are volunteers, and so it's years of organization. I mean, it's because
Yeah.
you had mentioned they had been to Disney in the past. So Bryce, our band director, and Brittany, who is our choir director, those two do a ton. There's fundraising involved. There's organization involved. There are a whole lot of approvals that I see. So again, I take 0 credit for that, other than the fact that I can say, hey, we employ a wonderful group who's dedicated to our students.
And are you ever going to be the guy that says, no, Disney sucks? No. I'm just kidding.
No, my parents are Disney property owners, so if I said that, I don't know if I'd be welcome at family
Be
events.
in so much trouble.
I would be. So no, I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way at all.
And it is not cheap.
No.
And this is not talking just about Oak Hill, but I'm thinking about all of our cheerleaders just went down to Orlando, and there's been so many other groups. I know, Dylan, you were part of the band from Jackson that went down to Orlando and marched at Disney. And I think, my gosh, I know how much a ticket to Disney costs.
Yep.
And you're taking how many kids?
Oh, I mean, you're talking about dozens and dozens of kids. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, but
And
again,
hotels and
Yeah.
food and all of that.
there's a lot to it. I mean, I think people sometimes, and I said earlier, they look at it as a vacation, and I've always referred to Disney as a trip, not a vacation.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because
Yeah.
yes, while they
Or-
do get
or
some
Universal.
downtime, right?
Yeah.
They do, and as they should get some downtime
Sure.
and time to explore and all of that. They are there for one reason, and that's to compete.
Yeah. And again, there's a ton of work that goes into that prior, and then there's work when they go down there. So, I mean, we're happy that they got to do that. And this is something that we do continually. So I'm sure that Bryce and Brittany are planning for the next round of this. So we're excited. And again,
Love it.
so that's one group or a couple of groups we're really proud of, and they do a good job.
Very, very good. And again, that just blows my mind getting that many kids going in the right direction. But
Yeah.
good for them.
Yeah.
I've often wondered, we were talking the other day on the Matt and Josh were talking about things that we did as kids that we couldn't believe that we did as kids and survived. And so I chimed up and said, and I don't know, where did you go to grade school?
I went to Notre Dame in Portsmouth to grade school.
Okay. Did you have the safety patrol
Yes, I was. Yeah, with the
with
orange
the badge and
Yeah,
the stick with the
yeah,
flag on it?
yeah.
So that was my contribution to that. Why on earth did any adult think that it was a brilliant idea to take a fifth grader or a sixth grader and give them a stick with an orange flag on it and to stand in the middle of oncoming traffic and let younger kids cross the street?
I don't know. We did that in Portsmouth.
But same.
Yeah,
But why?
builds character, responsibility. I don't know.
How did we not all die?
I don't know. We got to go to Washington D.C.
Okay, that was going to be my next part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So not only do we give kids a big wooden stick with an orange flag on it and send them out into oncoming traffic to stop it, then we put them all on a bus at 12 years old and send them by themselves down to Washington, D.C.
So I have a story about my trip. Do you want to hear it?
I would love to hear it.
So it was after sixth grade. So after sixth grade. So this was after Desert Storm had ended, and they
Okay.
were having the Desert Storm welcoming parade in DC when we went. So
Oh my gosh.
potentially at that time, the most humans
Yeah,
in DC ever. I don't know. So correct me historically, but
a lot.
one of the largest gatherings of people.
Yes.
And so I was 12 years old, and my parents said, "Hey," and again, these weren't available.
Correct.
So you had to use a payphone. And my
Yes.
parents said, "Hey, call when they gave me a certain time I had to call home."
Yeah.
So I didn't. And anyway, so we go to the parade and we get separated. Yes. So two of my classmates and I got separated, and a million people. I roughly. So I am in downtown DC.
You're proving my point for me, by the way.
Well, but I will. So I'm in downtown DC so I had to be the responsible one, which was a little concerning.
at
But
12.
the
by way.
other two were panicked.
Yeah.
So I looked for a police officer, and I said, "Hey," I said, "we got separated from our group, and can you help us out?" So gentleman was great. Police officer helped us out, connected us with our group.
Aw.
Well, but prior to that, I had called my parents from a payphone and said, "Hey, you said I was supposed to call. I know I'm off by a couple hours, but I am in DC and I don't know where."
And I'm lost, by the
So
way.
there,
Freaking
my
out.
father, my dad was very calm, and he said, "Hey, if you haven't already done this, speak to a police officer." I said, "Yeah, I did," and I said, "But I'm calling you to let you know." So I was, I guess, shockingly calm for 12. And he says, "Now listen, you didn't call the first time." He said, "Make sure that you call me as soon as you get back to your hotel. Go with that officer." So I went with the police officer, found our group, went back to the hotel, got in the swimming pool, never called my parents. So they ended up tracking us down and found one of the chaperones via landline. And they said, "Oh yeah, Jason's in the pool with his buddies." And
No
they're like,
problem. He's having the time of
but
his
to
life.
think about this, not only did I not call, and I'm looking back, the chaperones didn't think to call my parents
Right,
either.
right?
So I'm thinking, yeah, I was 12. I was old enough that I should have known to call my parents, like my dad said. But then I look back and I'm like, we have grown people who never called my parents. And we didn't get in trouble. It was just kind of like, you're good. The three of you are back. We're good to go.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, so that happened. So I was lost in DC at 12.
Awesome.
Yeah, first
And-
time in DC. And
and-
I got lost in the Desert Storm welcome parade.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, which you just proved my point for me. But no, but we all survived it is the second point to it. And without these.
Yeah.
Which we're not quite sure how we did that, but
Nope.
but no, same. Oh, and I loved it. Did they tape your door shut?
Oh, yeah.
At
So they
night.
knew that if you, yeah. I know.
Right.
Yeah. That was effective.
Uh-huh. I remember and we stayed up all night so that because it was just like a group of girls away from their parents, and we were all up giggling and whatnot, and we stayed up the entire night. So the next day we were on the bus traveling like
Well, and I don't know about you, but
Washington Monument.
we were in a hotel with, I mean, it was just hundreds of kids from
Full
other
of-
schools.
Yes.
With no I mean,
No.
when I say no supervision, I mean, when we were out, they did a okay job of, when it was at the hotel, it was There
No,
was
it was, I
nobody.
remember you're just running around talking to other kids and meeting kids.
Yeah.
And
So see, now parents worry about that senior trip. When we were 12, we were just left alone to our own
it was
devices.
a different time.
Yeah.
Oh, but anyway, we digress, I guess.
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny that was a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was normalcy. I don't know. We all got back.
Yeah.
So
We probably also rode bikes with no helmets and survived that too, but
100%. I never owned a bike helmet.
no. But anyway. So what else do you have going on down there in Oak Hill?
So we have a lot. So as far as extracurricular, co-curricular, right now, track and field has started, baseball and softball. Baseball team is sitting around 500 right now.
Okay.
Softball team got an early season win, a young group. And so that's positive. When you can get an early win, that's huge.
Oh yeah.
Renee Creech, who coached our girls for years, has kind of come out of being semi-retired as
Awesome.
as a coach, and she's back with us. And we have a new baseball coach, and Jason Fitzhugh, coach last year. Jason Wright stepped away. He'd coached for decades, but he's still coaching our golf team. But numbers are up, continuing to grow. Track and field team very successful. So we, as I mentioned earlier, we have Garrett McInnes was a state qualifier last year. Walker Fauble, who's a junior, was the high point medalist at the SOC meet. He returns. He's back for this year and next. So we have a lot of talented kids
Nice.
back with that group. So we're Mason Davis on the baseball team was all conference last year. He's back as our number one pitcher. So we have a lot of kids back. And that's really, really a great thing for the programs. But a lot going on. We have projects. We talked about that a little bit off the air. So we have several projects going on right now. We have some outdoor classrooms / shelter houses. And I want to point out, these are not modulars, as I was asking. These are open air with a roof. These are not modulars, as we remember from our youth when schools became too small,
Overcrowded,
modulars were brought in.
In came the trailers.
These are not modulars. These
the
are
FEMA trailers.
No, these are being built on site, and one on each campus. So this is an opportunity for outdoor learning. It's an opportunity for groups to come in after hours to utilize the space.
Love that.
For award ceremonies or a picnic or whatever they would like to do. There are restrooms, so there's electric. There will be electric and water. So it's going to be it's going to be outdoor open air facility at both campuses.
And I heard that, you guys talking about that when I was driving in also, that there was nothing better than, you've been in this stuffy classroom and it's finally spring and your teacher looks at you and says, y'all want to get out of here? And you're like, yes. Yeah. And you go outside and you sit on the playground or whatever, and you have class out there for a little bit. It's just such a wonderful break.
Yeah.
For everybody.
And we have teachers who do that now, and now they're going to have a place to go.
That is so good.
I mean, each will seat over 100 people.
Wow.
So we'll have tables out there, electric, so we'll be able to hook up television, anything like that, smart board if we need to.
Really cool.
So that's a positive. One thing we're looking at right now, and this is a problem, but it's a good problem. Really, we lack indoor athletic space, and so one thing that our school board is currently working on and tasked me with is, hey, how can we expand potentially those facilities? And we're in the early phases of that, but we have a lot of youth who are playing volleyball, who are playing basketball, and really we lack adequate indoor space for those groups, as well as for our middle school and our high school sports. So we're exploring some positive and some affordable options for the district, looking into some grant opportunities. So should be hearing about that. So we're working on that over the next couple of months and hoping that we go from planning stage to actually potentially breaking ground on something. So we're in the early stages of that. So we're very excited. Again, trying to look at the financial piece first.
Yes.
Want to be responsible, but also we want to create spaces that we can utilize for many, many years and that will impact as many people as possible, including our community. So partnerships, we have a great partnership right now with Holzer and Buckeye Hills, which has helped us bring in a trainer full-time to the district at no cost to the district.
Like an athletic trainer?
Yeah, so we have an athletic trainer
Wow,
who actually
cool.
teaches 2 courses per day for us.
Oh.
Yeah, so we, to my knowledge and to Jamie Nash's knowledge, the superintendent of Buckeye Hills, I think we're the only school in the state of Ohio who offers this. So we have a medical pathway with 2 courses. We're expanding it to 4 next year.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So we're really appreciative of Holzer for finding Sarah. She's fantastic. She's pretty close from Rock Hill area. So
Yeah.
Sarah's with us every day. She's been with us since last summer.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's a full-time athletic trainer through Holzer, and then she was credentialed through Buckeye Hills to teach 2 courses, and we're going to double that and expand to 4. She'll still be teaching 2 periods a day,
That
but
is so cool.
so she's not just with our student athletes. She's with our students the back half of the day. So again, we're the only school, to my knowledge, in the state of Ohio who offers that program. We're also working with Buckeye Hills on a business pathway, working on that. So that's still working out the kinks with that. But we're going to plan to have a 4-course business pathway. So those are 2 certificates that kids can leave high school with. One medical
Wow.
and 1 business. Potentially, if your schedule works out, you can end up with both. So this year, we have, you mentioned CCP off air.
So, yeah.
So we're offering between career pathways and CCP, college credit plus courses. We have over 20 hours. We had 0 hours last year. We went from 0 to 20 plus this year. And I credit our principal at the high school, Whitney Crabtree, for working with me on that. Our guidance counselor, Karen Spees, has also been involved with that. But we work with Rio Grande, Shawnee State, and Buckeye Hills, all partnerships. So we offer an intro to teacher ed. We offer college credit physics. We offer college credit English language arts. We're looking to expand into math. And we're also trying to expand into other areas. So, our goal is to keep, what we want, CCP is something that's been embraced by the state, and, we don't want to fight it. We want to work with our students to keep them on campus. We are fine with them having the opportunity to earn those credits at no cost to their families, but we would like them also to have a traditional high school experience.
Yes.
So you can get the college credit while also being on your campus. So you're not missing pep rallies. So you're not late for
Okay.
practices. So you can be involved with the after school program. We have a lot of kids who are spending a lot of time going back and forth to campus, which
Yes.
again, we appreciate our regional universities, but at the same time, we think that our kids should have the opportunity and option to have a traditional high school experience and also get CCP credit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was whining to you. You weren't whining back, but I was whining to you that just wasn't necessarily pushed as much when we were in high school. And it's disappointing thinking back that heck, we could have been.
Yeah.
I was like, God, we could have been halfway through our freshman year or all the way through our freshman year. And it just wasn't a thing back then. So I love that the kids are having that opportunity financially. And let's be honest, some kids, they're just ready to move on. Like it's okay to go ahead and move on if you have that wherewithal to do it.
Well, and I think there is a certain group of students who may be ready to go to campus, but there's also the concern of parents. And as a parent of 3 teenagers,
Yeah.
I'm looking. Do I want to send my children to a college campus?
Sure.
Not that I think it's an inherently bad place. Clear, it's not. I spent.
No, but it's a different world.
But it is a different world. There's a maturity factor. There's a
Yes.
getting there factor there, and again, people at 20, 21, 22 years old are at a completely different place in their life than a 16-year-old.
Yes.
And so we want, if you feel as a parent, your child is mature enough and can handle that, okay. But I think across the board, and I talk to superintendents all the time, I think we're finding that some kids think they're ready and they're not. And if they don't do well in those courses, it could ultimately cost their family finances.
Sure, absolutely.
So
It can backfire
If
on
you
you.
do well academically, you don't have to pay. But if you don't do well academically, you do. And, there's no requirement for professors to communicate with us. That's a separate entity. They don't work for us.
So one doesn't know what the other's doing. Yeah.
Some professors will, some don't, some universities. It just depends. And I don't begrudge them.
Yeah.
They have their own standards and they have their own expectations and they answer to certain people in their university. And they're certainly not answering to a school district, local school district superintendent or principal, just the same as our people aren't answering to their deans and presidents.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
there's a checks and balances piece, but obviously we want that communication. But it's so much easier if you're getting CCP credit, receiving it on campus, you're getting it from credentialed teachers who are not only certified to teach in the K-12 space, but they're also certified to teach college courses, which is great. So we have
That's awesome.
yeah. So we have a few teachers who have been willing to do that, and were credentialed last year coming into this year. So we've been able to expand those options, and it's been really positive.
I love that idea. That's so good. And then let's talk for a minute. I know you're not speaking for Jamie Nash, but like, let's talk about, kind of the relationship with Buckeye Hills and some of the opportunities that kids might have if they choose to go that route.
Sure. I mean, so you have career,
Amazing.
Yeah, everything there's a career pathway, and obviously they offer adult ed too. So, the things that we partner on. I mean, we bus students to and from there on a regular basis. We have a fairly sizable amount of our kids who want to go there, but I mean, obviously they have cybersecurity. I don't know. I'm going to tell you right now, I couldn't list everything, but they have
Because
cybersecurity.
They add stuff all the
Yes,
time.
there's a welding program. Now we do offer a lower level welding program. It's not on site, so we do that through
Cool.
vocational agriculture. But we don't offer the full certification as Buckeye Hills does. So kind of an intro. So Buckeye Hills, obviously offers that. I mean, there's a food service program, so they have a lot of programs, and then obviously we have partnership programs. I mean, we have a tech component on our campus. We have a VOAG component on our campus. Both Buckeye Hills employees, but they're stationed at Oak Hill 612 building.
Oh.
So our middle school and high school students have the opportunity to do that. I already mentioned the medical program, the athletic training piece. They get that program. That's a partnership with Buckeye Hills. And then also we're looking into expanding into the business through Buckeye Hills as well. So we'll have, someone on our campus, but they can also get some career pathway credit moving forward, industry credentials.
Yeah, and I mean, this is amazing. So this is a true story. At the tap room at 6 Cents, we have a young man who started, at 16 years old, or 15 actually, washing dishes, whatever, and went into the culinary program there at Buckeye Hills, has worked his way through, and now is full-time at the restaurant because he's now a senior. And, the last part of your senior year, you're able to just go to work full time. That's kind of the whole point, right? And he's wonderful. He's amazing. And so that's been a relationship that we've had. It's been really, really cool. And so if you have a kid that's really interested in something, encourage that.
Sure.
Let them pursue that. That's awesome.
One thing, and again, I'm not going to speak for Jamie, but I'll reference how we got here. So when I got to Oak Hill, we looked at okay, where are their shortages, and then where is their need. So teacher education was one. I mean, there is a teacher shortage, a national teacher shortage. So we're currently working with Shawnee State right now. So we offer Bryce, who's our band director.
Yes.
He offers a course in intro to teacher education. So I thought, okay, we're going to get a pathway started there. And then obviously through RIO, we have some other pathways through physics and through language arts. And then I talked to Jamie. I said, hey, we also have a shortage of athletic trainers. I mean, there is a national shortage of athletic trainers.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's when I contacted a lot of regional hospitals, and I talked to Jamie. And I'm to the point in my career, I'm not saying I don't always ask, how can we do this? I say, why can't I? And then let's establish the barriers now.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure out how to work through them or around them. So I went to Jamie. I said, hey, tell me why I can't do this. And he said, well, let me think about it. And he said, well, you can. And I said, okay, then let's talk. And that's what I want to hear, because I think it's not a negative. It's essentially, okay, let's find the barriers now instead of finding them 6 months from now.
Oh, love that.
So Jamie has been a great partner. That's how we ended up with Sarah. It's like I said, Holzer jumped on board. Buckeye Hills jumped on board. So I'm like, okay, we're shorted. We have a teacher shortage. We have an athletic trainer shortage. Let's put kids in those pathways. At least they're going to find out. If they don't love it, they're going to find out, I don't want to do this.
And that is
it's
so
not,
good.
And it's not costing their families money to find out they don't want to do it.
Exactly. I mean, how many people do you know that get all the way through 4 years of education, or not education, but like school, and then they're like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Exactly. And if they do want to pursue one of those areas, then guess what? They've got credits that they're not paying for. And if they don't, it's not out of their pocket.
Right.
I will tell you, I mean, obviously I graduated with, I have multiple education degrees, but I will tell you, midway through, I switched my major. and ended up switching back.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, but to expect 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old young
It's not
adults to
fair.
expect to know 100% what they're going to do at a significant cost, I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think we need to offer kids a pathway, whether it's workforce, whether it's military, whether it's 2-year degree, 4-year degree, whatever it is. Let's help them figure that out before they leave
Sure.
Oak Hill High School. I think that's a huge thing, and we'll continue to find ways to do that. Like I said, with the business pathway, we have a shortage. People need office managers. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not like you're getting 30 applicants for this. The same as we're not getting a bunch of applicants for certain teaching positions. So can we help local businesses? If a kid wants to stay local, great. Let's have a pathway to teach them how to manage an office, how to be organized. I think how to be an entrepreneur if they'd like to be.
Sure.
Which, obviously I know that's something you've done. And again, I don't think there was a course when we were in high school to teach you how to do that. And I think that's really important. We're currently working on and again, we like to work with Rio and Shawnee. We have students that go to both, but the Cricker Innovation Hub at Shawnee State, which is something that a lot of people don't know about. Shawnee State did a $4 million renovation of a building in downtown Portsmouth to work on entrepreneurship and innovation in Appalachia. So we're going to create a partnership with them on how to bring that into Oak Hill. And again, I'll give credit to Rio and their president, who has been welcomed me to the university, and we've had a couple of sit downs and have regular communication, and he's willing to build CCP capacity at Oak Hill through Rio. So I appreciate the partnerships with everyone. You just have to ask. Most people you'll find out will say, yes, let's work together.
You don't get the sale unless you ask. Right?
Exactly. Well, there you go. So yeah, we have a lot of partnerships, a lot of things in place, and a lot of things that will be in place over the next couple of years.
Love that. And I love that we do have so many people that are kind of outside the box thinking right now and trying to be progressive on these things. And just because we live down here in Appalach doesn't mean that our kids can't have nice things, and that they are not brilliant, and that they should not have the best jobs in the world. Like, it doesn't matter where you're from. They should have all those opportunities.
No,
same as the big city kids.
I completely agree, and I've talked to a lot of people who are like-minded. And again, I don't have a tech background. These are things either self-taught, or I've gone to people and say, listen, I don't understand this. I don't know how to do this. Show me how to do it. Teach me how to do it. I just had a phone call yesterday. I know artificial intelligence is a big thing, and some people are scared to death, and some people want to use it for wrong reasons. Well, here's the thing: it's not leaving. We need to know how
I need to write a letter.
Yeah, well, we need, and I did. I had a conversation with a longtime friend of mine, and I said, hey, I've done a lot of research on AI. I was like, I want you to, because he's in the tech world. I said, hey, teach me how to use this responsibly. And I've had conversations with our administrators, and we don't want to overwhelm our staff members, but we've talked about this in admin meetings. Like, hey, how can we teach our staff? This is how it can help you. And let's also teach our students. Listen, we know students are using it. Students have been using it. AI is not brand new.
No,
it's been around, and I think you can fear it, or you can embrace it and use it for positive.
Yes.
And I think people have this fear that it's going to take over. I think if we use it properly and responsibly, and again,
but it's like everything else. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't, but you just combat that.
It's true. Well, and it's about efficiency, and you still have to input. I mean, you've used ChatGPT. You still have to input. You still have to provide ideas. And I think we have to find this happy medium of, yes, tech is important. It isn't everything.
Yes.
So we need to teach young people how to communicate verbally, in person, do things hands-on. But there's also a piece that, hey, if we can be more efficient and effective.
Yeah.
Semi-utilizing or embracing tech and AI, I think that's a plus. But there's a happy medium. There's a balance for everybody.
There was a thing. So my husband is not very tech savvy at all, but I was gone in Columbus one day, so evidently he was bored at the house, and which is very rare for him. But anyway, we were talking about a beer label for a can, and he found some site where he typed in what he wanted this beer label to look like. And it spit out 4 different examples, and they were all spelled wrong and whatever. But it was like, okay, I can work with this.
Yeah.
And then you work with that, and then you send it to your designer that actually, designs the thing. But it's like, wow, that is so cool that it just like spit these 4
Well, but think
different
about
labels out to
yeah.
give me an idea of where to even start from.
But think about what we did before this. We had groups and we collaborated, and you got
Yes.
5 or 6 different ideas. And all successful people, let's say it, they do steal good ideas or trade good ideas from other people.
There are no original ideas anymore. It's all just a variation of
I don't want to believe that there will not be any more original ideas. We'll agree to disagree.
Okay.
I guess I'm going to be hopeful and
Yeah.
say it's still out there, but maybe that's the educator in me. But I think I think if we look at it like that, yes, let's get some ideas. Let's collaborate with humans. Let's have that discussion, but let's also input it into what
Yeah.
was human created, and let's get some ideas from people that we'll probably never meet.
Right.
And that's what your husband did.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, things are spelled wrong. You
Yeah,
you
it
have to
was
have some guardrails, and you have
very rough around the edges.
well, and AI
but
doesn't mean you don't look over it. You don't edit it. You have to. There's a responsibility piece there. But
sure.
I think with us embracing opportunities and embracing partnerships, that's been what we've really tried to focus on, at least
Love
in the
that.
couple years I've been at Oak Hill, and we have in general, I think we have a staff that will embrace new ideas. I mean, again, change is hard,
Mhm.
but I think as long as we do it with purpose, and we can push for a specific outcome that we all agree is positive for kids, I think I think things in general will typically work out.
Okay. I think that's a great attitude.
Yeah.
So I was thinking substitutes. You still need substitute teachers?
Every district needs we need substitute everything.
And the funny thing is, which is terrifying, is it used to be what you had to have a college degree,
You had to have a 4-year degree. Yes.
which scared the heck out of me that I could be a substitute teacher because nobody wants that. Trust me. But that being said, haven't they backed off a little bit on that?
There are local districts now have the option. We can employ if you're enrolled in a teacher education program, which is a little misleading because if you're enrolled in the teacher ed program, you're in courses.
You're in class.
But we do fortunately have some young people who are working with our district, even if it's just 1 day a week, as long as they're enrolled in teacher ed. So if we can get them on a Friday, which is great,
Okay.
because not surprisingly, there are some Fridays that
You mean people call off on Fridays?
it
What?
happens even in education. And I can't say that I've never done that, taking a personal day on a Friday. But so we do have that. And there's also, if you're a non-degree, but you have a specific amount of credit hours, depending on the district, you can adopt a policy that will allow, if you've reached a certain threshold in credit hours, and off the top of my head, I can't remember what that, but we do have some non-degree subs who, you have people who did a majority of college, or maybe they have a 2-year degree, but listen, they're still capable and
Oh, yeah.
effective people. So I do appreciate that the state has allowed us to do that, because it has allowed us to bring in different people from different backgrounds, and it's allowed us to expand a little bit. But we need subs across the board: bus drivers, kitchen staff, custodians, teachers. I mean, we need it, and so does everybody else.
Do you there's a background check, I assume.
There is
that
a
you have
background
to-
check,
that you
yes.
have to pass.
That's a
so-
requirement.
But that's I mean we don't you kind of need to be on the up and up as far
Correct.
as being a citizen.
Yes.
So but anyway, I want to touch on that too, but that's just not district wide. That's probably worldwide as far as
Yeah.
needing substitutes and all that. So maybe you're sitting, maybe you've retired and you're like, oh man, I'm kind of bored or whatever.
Yeah.
Reach out.
Yeah, we've recently raised sub rates across the board. So I mean, we're very regionally competitive. If
Okay.
anyone is interested, again, you can contact our central office, 682-7595. Facebook, you can send a message through that. Our emails are, we have those super long
Oh, yeah.
emails. So our website, Oak Hill Union Local website, is full of information. And if anyone's interested,
Google it.
yeah, just look it up, Oak Hill Union Local Schools, and you can get to our staff directory. We're very easy to reach. But again, phone calls are fine. I get those from time to time. We have a couple ladies in the central office who deal directly with this, and they make it easy. You come in and they have the paperwork ready, and they'll guide you through anything you need help with.
There you go. So that's a thing too. All right. So what else do you have on your list over there?
Well, okay. So I do want to brag on our rec league and our rec league board. We have some.
Oh, what's that?
So our youth rec program.
Okay.
that was really kind of reestablished just a couple of years ago. And I have to give those adults and those young people a lot of credit. So these are volunteer positions. So they reorganized a couple of years ago. So again, excuse me, all volunteers. And again, they get coaches. They have coaches dedicated to oversee specific programs. So in all of our youth sports, those numbers have grown tremendously, and that's part of the reason that we we need to expand that indoor gym space, which again we're continuing to do. So that group, Corey Ruby is the president of that group. He does a really nice job. Also an educator and an entrepreneur. So, but there's some things he's involved with, and again we've had multiple teachers involved with that board. So I credit them spending all day with kids, and then even after school they're spending time trying to expand programs. They had a group come in last year and completely redo one of the youth fields.
So that was so cool.
It was awesome. Yeah, Jenny Finch came in.
Yeah.
Last year, I had the opportunity to meet her and that group, and that was really exciting. That field is great. I mean, it's again it's springtime and everyone wants to be outside, but with the weather, it's always tough to take care. Those are the toughest facilities to take care of, your spring sport fields.
Yeah, because you have all this rain.
Yeah, because it's like
God
you
knows
said,
what.
it's 82 and then it's 22.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's supposed to snow, I guess, and it was icing last night. So I really don't.
And then I think Monday it's supposed to be in the 70s. I don't know.
Welcome to Ohio.
Yeah,
So
it is how it is.
yeah, but no, we have. I mean, we have an esports program that's. Oh, okay. You were cheering.
Dylan was part of he still does the esports, but he helped in our Jackson High School, and now he's doing that at Rio.
Really? Well, our Spanish teacher, Mr. Loomis, he heads up our esports, and he does a great job with that.
And you can get scholarships.
You can
for things like that too.
Which
it was my Spanish teacher too.
It was your Spanish teacher too?
Yeah.
So I will give Mr. Loomis. I mean, he came out initially and volunteered for this. I mean, it was great. I know I talked to him about how it started. He and I had a conversation late last year about it, and I appreciate it. I mean, it opens up avenues, and that's another way for kids to get involved.
So you don't play football.
Yeah, Rio Grande does offer scholarships for students and
awesome.
Work studies for students and all that.
Yeah, and again, yet another pathway.
Absolutely. And, so that doesn't mean that you have to be able to run fast or play football, or maybe you do, but you also are really good at esports.
Yeah. Well, another thing, and speaking of another program we offer, and we're super successful, is our bass fishing team. And I think you and I talked about it before.
Yay. Yeah, I think that is.
We were the state champions last year. We won 2 state championships in a brief 4 or 5 year span. Competed in
Where was this all our lives? How fun!
Competed in the national tournament last year.
Yeah.
And again, our kids have done exceptionally well. So, and again, that also takes adult involvement and time. We do have to have someone to take out that boat and be a captain for our kids. And so, we have our home pond.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing, again, you talked about football. And again, I did grow up, played football my whole life, played in college. I was a coach. But here's the thing. What I have always tried to embrace is even things I wasn't involved in, I want to learn about it. I mean, we have kids who are super interested in art. I was not overly artistic. I'm certainly not musical. Now, I've always loved music, but I've not been able to sing or play. So I really enjoy watching and being involved with our young people.
So envious of that.
Oh, I am. That's a skill that it can be utilized forever.
Yes.
I'm not. No one's asking me to play football anymore.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
That's off the table. No one's asking me to get back on the track. And I wish I could, but I just don't have that ability to compete at that level. But no, I mean, I think some of these lifelong skills, I mean, the esports, that's something you can do forever. Obviously with music, with fishing, with all of these things. And then I go back to athletics, and I want to be fair. Yeah, you may not be able to play forever, but you know what? You can learn that it is important to be fit throughout your entire life. And some of the things you're doing in workouts, in running, team building, all those things are important. So yeah, you may not be able to play basketball forever, but you know what? The team building piece, the leadership piece, the fitness piece, all those things are lifelong.
Yes.
And I think
100%.
That's what's so important. It just isn't about state testing. And I know what your test scores. So you know how many times I've been asked what our test scores are in my entire career? I've never been asked. I talked to a superintendent who's been a superintendent for 20 years, and he said, I've had complaints about transportation. I've had complaints about staff. I've had complaints about athletics. He said, but no one in 20 years has called and asked me about our test scores. And I don't want to diminish those.
That's a little weird, isn't it?
It is weird. And I'm thinking we put so much from a legislative level, we put so much emphasis. But here's the thing: what does a parent really care about? is my kid safe? Do you care about my kid? Are you teaching them some type of skill that's going to prepare them beyond this building?
Sure.
And those three things are what, and again, I don't want to listen, test scores, there is a place for that.
You
And we
have
want to
to.
do well. And that's something I'd be happy to talk about. And we have improved in those areas. But the fact is, I think a lot of times, people want to look at a number, and looking at a number doesn't really ever tell the whole story. Look at it in totality. Look at, what are your program expansions? What are you doing for my kid? I mean, we have an after school program that's fantastic. We give kids an extra couple hours after school every day to be involved. And we have, that's where I talked about the parent and family engagement came
Yes.
in. We have teachers who are giving tons of hours to this
Yes.
to build capacity with the community and our students. I think that's a great thing. And those are the things that I don't think we focus on enough.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, it's how many we want to, are you a 5 or are you a 3-star?
Well,
Yeah.
that's the
Let's
thing.
focus on what are you doing for kids? What positive are you doing for kids and community?
I was just talking with I was thinking about two individuals that I grew up with that, one girl, you talk about test scores, you talk about ACT and SATs and all this. And I have a friend that is very bright, and the poor thing, every time she went to take the ACT, it was like a
Panic.
13 or something.
panic.
I don't even know.
Panic
It was
sets
like
in.
I don't even know how you do so bad, and it just kept happening over and over again. And it became like then you mentally like destroy yourself.
Yeah.
And I have a friend that is brilliant, and she could never pass the bar. Went all the way through law school, and she finally gave up. And I'm like, I don't understand it because you're very, very bright, but that doesn't mean you're dumb.
No.
And like, that's what kind of annoys me about these test scores. I'm sure it does you as an educator too, is that that doesn't mean that a kid is not smart or that they're not talented in some other way.
Well, I will tell you this. Here's how I look at it. If a child does extremely well, we're going to recognize them and appreciate how well and the effort they put in. However, as well as that child did on a test, I'm never going to define that child by that test score.
Right.
And if this child, and to your point, if a child doesn't do well, we're going to figure out why.
Yeah.
And we're going to do what we can to improve them. But I'm not going to judge that child by that. If
No,
you
it
define,
doesn't mean
if
everything.
you define people by a score on a singular test, well, first of all, you're cheapening the human experience, and you're not allowing yourself to fully embrace all of the positives and the struggles that person's gone through. And I think we minimize, and I think it's an insult to education
Yes.
when we judge teachers and students by a number once a year. I think that's not what education is, and it's not what it should be.
Yeah. And I agree. And I'm not in education. I just always thought that, and I know it's very frustrating for teachers and administrators that is kind of how school districts are judged.
Well,
So.
I think from a local level, honestly, for the most part, it's not.
It's
I
not
think,
from the state level.
I think most of our community is focused on what we're talking about today. The few notes I took down here, that's what they're focused on. Yes, again, not that we're not focusing on improving in those areas, but that's not our primary and sole focus.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's it. As long as a kid is well-rounded, who cares? I mean, honestly, like give them the opportunity to explore and to succeed in something, and great. If you can't take a test, that's okay. Some kids can't take tests.
That's why we're creating different pathways.
That's right. That's the way I look at it. But well, cool. Well, this has been fun talking with you today. I apologize about my squeakiness, but
Hey, I think that was a huge improvement from when you came in.
thanks. Don't make me laugh. I'll probably choke to death. But yeah, so no, this is wonderful. If people are interested in getting a hold of you, do you have an open door, or how's that work?
So accessibility, yes. I can't be available 24/7.
Sure.
So if you would like to have a conversation, if you would like to have a sit down, again, contact our office, 682-7595.
Okay.
If you ask for Alicia, you will ultimately, I have a wonderful, she's great assistant who does a lot of my scheduling, which I greatly appreciate. So if you ask for Alicia, or if you ask for Jason, superintendent, you're ultimately going to get one of us.
Yes.
And if I'm available, I will take the call. If I'm not pretending to be in a meeting. I really am either off campus or I am with someone. So I get back with everyone. If you call me, if you email me, and email can be found on our website. But if you contact me, I assure you I will get back with you. And if I don't in a reasonable amount of time, you can assume that I must have something like you have, and it's going to take me a couple of days.
There you go. Something like that. All right. Well, Oak Hill Superintendent Jason Mantell, thank you so much for stopping by today and putting up with us and answering our questions. But sounds like your district has a lot going on and a lot to look forward to. And congratulations to the kids that went down to Florida and the Shrek the musical and all the great things that they're doing. I mean, it's just amazing, and all the sports teams, and of course the education piece as well. So
Yeah, we do that too.
yeah, we do that too. We teach them some learning along the way. All right. Well, have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be right back here tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye bye.